Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to share 10 of some of the sexiest fragrances for fall. These fragrances are bold, they are very wearable, which means you can wear them in more casual settings, you can wear them in more formal settings, and they work for the beginning of fall when it's still kind of warm and bleeding into being brisker to when fall bleeds into winter and it gets to be super cold. These are great scents and I've been enjoying. Some of them are newer to my collection and some of them have been part of my collection for years. So what I wanted to do is kind of get them all together and share some of the sexier fragrances from my collection that I think are beautiful for fall. So let's go. Now, if I have reviews of any of these fragrances, I will link them below. Also, when it comes to fall fragrances, I like the idea of stronger, richer, more beastly fragrances. I do like florals. I do like fresh aromatic scents as well. But I think when we're looking for sexy and powerful, we're looking for attention grabbing as well, but also scents that are not super unfamiliar. So these are going to be very familiar compositions. They're not going to be like avant-garde, crazy, what are you wearing? Kind of more artistic expressions of testing people's olfactive palates with different and unique ways to smell, although I do love when that happens. These are all easy. If anything is challenging, it's because you might be challenged by leather, you might be challenged by ambroxan, you might be challenged by florals. You're not going to be challenged by something unfamiliar to the world of perfumery, even though I do love seeing creative and unique things. So the first one we're going to talk about is a very bold, sexy leather fragrance. I haven't worn this one in a while because it's been very hot, but I am so excited to wear this again because I do love leather, and it is Rich Mess. This is a very sexy, in-your-face leather scent, kind of like a leather daddy fragrance. What I love about that is it's so unapologetically just powerful. Now, leather is one of those notes that can very much be very well worn in all seasons, summer, winter, fall, springtime, depending on what it's blended with. I love a crisp, light, effervescent, sparkly leather like Eau de Memo in the summer and springtime. But when you have a sensual, deeper, richer leather, you get something fantastic. Now, I could have had Queer Amethyst from Armani Privé as part of this list, and I almost had it, but I wanted to include a fragrance that not many people know about or talk about because it's just, if you're looking for a beautiful, just leather scent, obviously this has other notes in it. It smells a variety of different ways than just leather, but as a purely just gorgeous, sexy leather fragrance to kind of wear in the fall, that's bold and powerful and sexy and attractive and confident, that really just focuses on a beautiful leather note. This is absolutely gorgeous. Great way to smell that I love to smell is Boozy. And I think that one of my new favorite like kind of boozy fragrances is from Tumi, and it's Continuum. This is also, if you see this finger, I almost sliced off the top of my finger cutting mango from my smoothie, so just excuse that little thing. I'm letting it heal. Anyway, Continuum is a beautiful, boozy, sexy, powerful designer fragrance, and I have been really enjoying the fragrances from this house. Now, I like to wear men's fragrances, and obviously you can wear whatever you want. You can wear men's fragrances, women's fragrances, unisex fragrances. Really what that means is generally people who are masculine or men prefer fragrances, this composition, these notes marketed on the men's side of the fragrance aisle. Obviously you can wear whatever you want. It's marketing, but for safety reasons, if you're trying to buy a fragrance for your uncle, your father, it's usually shopping from the men's designer sections going to be more of an appropriate gift that they might possibly like than shopping from the women's section, but that doesn't mean in every case. And obviously, you can wear whatever you want. Who cares if a man wants to wear a fragrance marketed at a woman? And if a woman wants to wear a fragrance marketed at a man, wear whatever you like. Wear what makes you feel happy and confident. I myself love to wear men's fragrances. They have some of the best woody aromatic compositions out there, and I just love it. And vetiver, one of my favorite notes, is really properly utilized in men's marketed compositions. But boozy fragrances too, bourbons, rums, sometimes vodka. Like when you get these like alcoholic laden, not like you smell like you were at a bar and you just spilled alcohol on you, but the nuances of some of these liquors. Like obviously if you drink a bourbon or a whiskey, if it has like, it might be a little bit nutty, it might have caramel notes to it, it might be a little bit oaky or things like that. When I'm talking about this smells like bourbony or like sweet or salty or a little bit more burny like a vodka, that's kind of like what I'm talking about when I'm saying it smells like a little bit more boozy and smelling like a rummy whiskey bourbony booze. There's something about this that's really sexy and soft and bold and powerful, and it just smells so good. So for a boozy fragrance, something that just smells really like an everyday wear, but you can also wear for a special occasion, Continuum from Tumi has been one of my favorites and is still my favorite from the line, even though I've really been enjoying all of them. In Kinetic recently, I've really been liking a lot. But for fall and just in general, Continuum is fantastic. Include 2 floral dominant fragrances. Obviously, I have Kiki from House of Matriarch. I obviously was one of the creative voices on this fragrance because I think violet and tea and some just beautiful aromatics, like there's mushroom in here. It's soft, it's powdery, it's sweet, it's earthy, it's just really gorgeous. It's got like a fresh spiciness to this fragrance. I think this is a bold, sexy fragrance personally. Even though I was a creative director on this, or a creative voice on this fragrance, I don't get any kickback or any money with any fragrance sold, but I do think that is a very sexy fragrance. That style of fragrance is very sexy, specifically in cooler months. But I also love the idea of florals that you might think are more appropriate for springtime or winter, just being fantastic for fall. And Dirty Flower Factory from Kerosene is one of them. These flowers just smell so sexy and so powerful and so decadent on the skin. And there's something about the way that this smells that really sings in cold weather. So there are some ways that florals can smell creamy and lactonic and indolic, but I also like it when florals can sometimes smell fruity. And this has like fruity undertones to the florals. Not that it's a fruity fragrance, but that the florals themselves have fruitiness. Sometimes like how jasmine or even like tuberose or some other white florals can be almost like a gingery, spicy, zesty kind of way. Like we're not saying it smells like ginger, but it has that kind of ginger, spicy sharpness to it. That's what these florals have. Think of it instead of like a creamy, coconutty lactonic, nothing indolic or overtly sweet, but like fruity undertones to the florals of this fragrance. And those work so well and are so sexy and smell so beautiful in fall. So if your idea of a bold, sexy fragrance includes a bouquet, a banquet, a feast of flowers, Dirty Flower Factory from Kerosene is wonderful and I love it. And this is a 1 spritzer for me, obviously. I do wear this. I actually like to layer this with Petit Matin from Francis Kurkdjian. Those two blend together really nicely, and that also blends really nicely with Lolique Amethyst. Those blend beautifully. Now another way to smell is just beautiful, sensual, easy. So if I had to think of the fragrances in this group that were more of like the dumb grab, something that smells a little bit berry, a little bit vetiver, a little bit aromatic, you have some patchouli, a lot of different things. I really love Memoir from Iman. Now this is a love letter to David Bowie, and yes, everyone has been pointing out the virtual identical bottle to Maja Bekali. I do not know if it was stolen. I do not know if rights were given. I don't know, but to Maja Bekali's larger bottles, yes, this is almost near identical. But the fragrance inside is ultimately what we're talking about. And there's something so beautiful and so luscious and so soulful, but also very easy and wearable about this fragrance. And it really blooms and blossoms, and I think shows its true beauty as just a smell in fall. This fragrance, as I was wearing it in summertime, because I did wear it a few times during the summer, I enjoyed a lot. I do like to wear heavier fragrances during the summer, and sometimes heavier, richer, denser fragrances don't get lost. They're kind of transportive, but this one was a little suffocating in summer weather. It worked, but I think it's like a one spritzer, and I was spraying it 2 or 3 times. But like as soon as it kind of got a little bit cold and I wore this, I was like, there we go. So Love Memoir to me is the beauty of this is in its sensuality, and its sensuality gets lost, and it just becomes muddy in hotter weather and humid weather. But in the fall is where you get all this gorgeous, just lusciousness. Now, the newest fragrance to my collection, and one that I had to include because as soon as I got this fragrance, I've been wearing it a lot. This is the newest fragrance from Gallagher Fragrances, and it's September. And no, Gallagher, he did not ask me to have this fragrance be a part of this list, but I knew initially the second that I smelled this, this is exactly kind of what I would expect from a sexy fall fragrance. And when I smell a lot of the fragrances from this house, they're always released seasonally. This is released as a summer release. This is released as a fall release. So they are very much curated for those times of years, which is smart because not every house does that. But what really got me is there's a black tea note in here. You guys know I love tea, and it's very much like apparent, but there's also an apricot note in here. And what I love about apricot is it smells so good. So certain fruits are very much like, some fruits can smell like, again, that they could be marketed to men, or certain fruits can smell, mostly fruits smell like they could be marketed more towards the women. But stone fruits, and like, like plums and sometimes even peaches, and you have some of these more like deeper, richer fruits, like almost dried fruits, so like dates and grapes and things like that. They can be obviously more shared. Apricots are one of those fruits, in my opinion, that smell more shared. There's a richness to the sweetness of an apricot, and I love cooking with it. I love eating apricots. I love mixing them in salads and smoothies, or just eating one. I love apricots. I also love the way that they smell, and I love smelling them in fragrances, and I love when Gallagher Fragrances definitely utilizes a fruit note and puts it front and center, because it's usually done super successfully in a way with a fruit and a note and a composition that I'm just super excited for. So there's a few houses out there that I just think that I resonate with because they create the types of fragrances that I just genuinely enjoy, like I vibe with, like I love this scent, I love your point of view. Like I just feel like whatever you put out, I'll probably like because our vibes mesh with fragrances. House of Matriarch is one of those houses. Folie La Plusier, I always mispronounce that, is another house that's more of an, I would say, an avant-garde art house, but they're very wearable. And Gallagher, anytime they come out with something, I always love it. And I think it's just when it comes to point of view of perfumery, this is my point of view in a lot of cases. So it's very much biased, but I think it's just because personally, like, we like the same stuff and they create the kind of stuff that I like. So there we go. But September, I like because there's like maple in here and apricot, and it has all those things that just mimic what people get excited about for fall, but it's very sexy, it's very beautiful, it's very powerful on the skin. And apricot just smells so attractive. So there's something very confident and beautiful about this scent. And black tea. You guys know I love tea fragrances. So I will be reviewing this scent very soon. I need to wear it a little bit more to kind of talk more about longevity. But overall, super sexy fragrance. Really enjoying it and definitely recommend it as a sexy fragrance for fall. Another great fruity fragrance. I talk about this one all the time. This is definitely a well-known fragrance. I don't think I need to talk about it too much. If you enjoy cherry, dark cherry and amber. Obviously Lost Cherry from Tom Ford, I love, but I have so many expensive fragrances as a part of this list. This is such a good scent in general. I mean, full retail price is like $85, $95, and you can find it at gray market for like, I think people have found it at like TJ Maxx or Burlington for like 10 to 15 bucks. So like I wanted to include some also fantastic cheapy bangers as part of this list. So obviously, yes, Tom Ford Lost Cherry, gorgeous. BDK, Rouge Smoking, really good too, but there's still something about that I enjoy. But honestly, like Dark Cherry and Amber from Banana Republic is gorgeous. And I love this line. I love this line so much. I am really excited to see a designer line do some really cool wearable things where the price point isn't insane full retail price. I don't think you need to know that cherry is gorgeous and sexy, and something like that just works for fall, and there's a richness to that fragrance that works really well in cooler weather. This next one is another new one to my collection. I've really enjoyed it. It's from Mind Games. I'm gonna butcher the name, so I'm just gonna link it below. It basically translates from French to the night. This is Mind Games fragrances. I just reviewed this. I love the pomegranate. Again, going back to a lot of these fruits, when you have a fragrance that uses distinctive fruits front and center, like a cherry, apricot, pomegranate, it really brings out some distinctive nuance to a fragrance where it doesn't just smell like a fruit salad or it doesn't just smell like jam. Like Lalique Amethyst does it beautifully with a mix of berries, but you don't just smell like you're eating just handfuls of berries, which sounds amazing to me right now. You can kind of understand like blackberries, but it's also leaves and stems and thorns and things like that. When people are deliberate with their choices, that's where I get excited. And what I like about, I'm just gonna call it night because you guys know I can't pronounce French to save my life. This one, it's pomegranate, but there's like some gorgeous just richness with the leather in here as well. Just really, really beautiful fragrance. I know it is on the pricier side, but this has been one that has just smelled really good on the skin, really fantastic. Now, one that is like obviously is part of this list, again, kind of like the Banana Republic Dark Cherry and Amber. I don't really think I have to talk about this too much. Alexandria too from Xerjoff. Again, woody, oud, beautiful, sexy. Everyone knows about this fragrance, but I had to have it be a part of this list because when we're talking about beautiful, sexy, bold, powerful fragrances that work really well in fall, that one, in my opinion, if I'm giving you my recommendations, has to be a part of this list because, again, you're coming to watch this list based off of my opinions. So that one kind of had to be on it. And the last one, I wanted to include something that's more shared, but I enjoy that it has nice aspects of it that lean a little bit more feminine in the gourmand realm, but still smells really sexy on men or women, and it's the Bewitching Yasmin. This is one of the Penhaligon's Portraits collections. This is a beautiful, sexy fragrance. It's smoky, it's mysterious, it's evocative, but again, there's something about this fragrance that just blooms and blossoms in fall, and that's where you get the sensuality of just, it doesn't get lost in hot weather, but it doesn't smell nearly as powerful and perfect as it does in cooler weather. But it also gets a little bit lost in super cold weather, super brisk weather. Like it is more, in my opinion, you want that fragrance, you want the Bewitching Yasmin to be a little bit heavy, a little bit thick, a little bit syrupy and rich. You don't want it to be super light. And in winter, I think it would work very well and smell very beautiful, but I feel like it would be a little bit lost. And in the summer and the spring, it's a little bit muddy, but in fall it's perfect. Guys, that's it. That's my 10 sexy, bold, powerful, attractive, confident. There are all those clickbaity words for fall. Now remember, I've had plenty of fall recommendation lists. I've reviewed these scents. Most of these scents, not all of these. If I've reviewed any of them, I'll link them below. Those are my sexiest fragrances for fall. I'd love to know what you guys think. Do you agree with my fragrances? Do you disagree? Let me know in my comment section below, and also let me know which ones you think you should have seen. Why wasn't this one in this list? Why did you have this one, or any other fragrances you think would be great, sexy and bold and confident inducing fragrances that work really well for the brisker months? Let me know below. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.